said, we have friends, and then we are at the same time, we can't expect everyone to understand this. But one thing everyone understands, they don't like war. But can you imagine what it takes for 90 million people to want to be bombed to get free from this regime? To the founder of terrorism in the world, that is hard for people to imagine. What does that mean? It's really what we lived with 47 years. And therefore, it's a high expectation. But I think the rise of social media, Iranian community are doing extremely well. I like to acknowledge the hardworking people to take every day, they work over a human body can work to just constantly bring this narrative of what we've been through, that we are happy to get bombed. We are happy to collaborate with USA and Israel to eradicate this regime. Um, so that level of awareness constantly has to be repeatedly come over so the mainstream narrative wouldn't overtake the real suffering.
Mm.
So 90 million people would come above the political views.
I think keeping the people at the center is really, really wise advice, ignoring all of the noise of whatever politician is speaking. And remember that these are, women, children, men, elderly, people from all different ethnic groups and backgrounds and socioeconomic classes that are all suffering under this regime, and are willing to pay some sort of price to be free of them. Um, just a reminder to those listening, can you put if you have any questions for these three brilliant women, we're sort of approaching Q&A shortly. So if you could send them to me as a message. I'm not seeing any. I don't know if people have sent them and that's an issue with the system or nobody's got any questions. But yeah, just send them to me and I'll be able to ask them shortly. Um, what I sort of asked this earlier, but to all three of you, what can people here in Australia who care about Iranian women and Iranian civilians and what is happening right now in Iran, what more can we do to support and to help the cause? Maybe Noz, do you want to start?
I think it's really important for our community here to amplify the voices of local Iranians and Iranians in Iran and ensure that those messages are getting across. And also talking to, their federal elected representatives and letting them know how they feel about the human rights situation in Iran. I mean, over the last couple of decades, all we've ever seen happen is the regime being, resolutions being passed against the regime for its human rights record, but nothing tangible was actually done. So we need to keep the pressure on our government as well as governments across the world through our networks, through friends, family, to take measures like listing the IRGC as a terrorist organization. And by encouraging our governments not to engage with the regime, they need to completely isolate the regime and cut off all diplomatic ties with the regime. We don't want to see this regime revived in any shape or form. We want to see this regime totally eliminated. We need to see the dismantling of the regime and a removal of the legacy of this regime in every shape or form. So we want to see ordinary Australians tell their elected representatives that it's, that the time of diplomacy is over. And it's the time now to sanction the regime and to stifle its lifeline and its funding streams that it's used to fund terrorist activity abroad and to put an end to its transnational repression as well and its monitoring and surveillance of members of the Iranian diaspora.
Yeah, I think that's also really wise. I'm getting some really great questions now after that shout out, so I might move to them. Firstly, this is for Minu, or for everyone, but starting with Minu. She said that she'd opened the heart and mind of her patient. Have you or any others had success like this in educating people beyond the kind of black and white binary thinking that we've been talking about? Do you think that this is a widespread thing, or is this just one patient?
I think I have. I have a neighbor who saw me in the street on the day the war started, and let's remember that was the day that the supreme leader was killed. So everyone was ecstatic. Right now we are more worried than the first day. I was just coming home and she saw me and she goes, "How are you?" And I said, "I'm so good." And she laughed and she said, "I know, I have another Iranian friend who felt the same. I just didn't want to be insensitive to tell you that." So she's fully Australian, like she has, no ties to the Middle East. So what I'm trying to say is I think these conversations really matter without prejudice, without anger, explaining how you feel as a human.
That's really moving. Joe's got a question for all three of you that's quite personal. Do you feel safe? Do you feel safe here in Australia speaking to us in such a public way? And I know all three of you have a public presence and have done media interviews before as well. Do you fear for your family and loved ones back in Iran? And do you feel safe right now?
I can go first. The pain is too deep that the safety doesn't matter anymore. And we just have to do what we have to do to get to see the other side. And that's the freedom of those people. And if they take a bullet with live ammunition by the terrorist Islamic regime, for us is a little thing to get threats and verbal accusations, which I get quite a lot, and I've been called names and names on my social media. This is the little we can do. But for me, the deep pain, there's no way we could stop. We have to keep amplifying what matters. But
Nadine has said, by seeing Hamas as freedom fighters, is that colluding with the Iranian government, which so many academics and those in the arts now do in the name of human rights? What do you think, Noz?
Sorry, I missed the question.
Oh, just, people who characterize Hamas as freedom fighters, some of these people, have profiles in academia or the arts, in the net using the language of human rights. Are these people aligning themselves with the Iranian regime, in your opinion? This is a question asked by Nadine.
Look, I think like as you mentioned earlier, two things can be true. We can support Iranians, but we can also support freedom of Palestinians, Israelis, and the entire Middle East. And when you have sentiments like this being expressed that align with the Iranian regime, they're completely discrediting the lives of Iranian people that have been bravely resisting against this regime over the last 47 years. It's denying the experiences of the women who are standing up bravely and facing bullets, and the women that have been incarcerated and raped in jail because they're virgins, and they're having their wombs or uteruses removed to hide the evidence of their crimes. So I think it's really unhelpful when we hear this sort of regime, you are anti-Iranian people.
Mm.
for me, it's not unhelpful. It's actually a shame for any government who allows people to stand on their streets and glorify terrorism. That's a shame. A government needs to be ashamed for allowing such division in society that is harmful to its citizens. And I think it has to be called out multiple times for it to change. We do not want to live in a country where it has so much safety, security, and values, such as Australia. We cannot allow this to come and infect our society to this point that a group can glorify terrorism. And then we are the one who have to be careful for our safety, not them to be careful about being deported. And this is a very, very big message for our Australian audience. If you want to help us, help eradicate and deport the platform these people exist in your society. For whatever reason, they're still glorifying terrorism. There is no other way to describe these people who hold that flag and that image. That we had to go through so much suffering and get help from USA and Israel to kill the founder of terrorism in the world in Iran, and now we see the image being glorified. This is profoundly upsetting. It's not unhelpful, it's upsetting deeply for our community. And you need to go on Saturday and Sunday to these incredible organizations by Persian community and hear this voice, not just from me, not just from Mino or Nos, but from hundreds and hundreds of us who we just want this to be heard by our government. Keep us safe, keep Australia safe. Australian values are really incredible. We need to hold together and keep our values alive. It comes from Iranian community have survived so much pain that they cannot see it happen again in another society. And that's why we're jumping up and down. And we are ahead of Australian time. Perhaps it takes another decade for Australians to understand what we say today. But perhaps we can keep trying.
Iranians have seen this firsthand. Radical Islamists came to our country and they came to stay. And generations after generations have been ruined. That's what we are trying to tell Australians and the Westerns. Just be careful. Don't let them use freedom of speech against you. When you let them bring up Khamenei's photo and mourn him because it's not against the law, so it's okay, that leads to radicalism. That leads to somebody pick up the gun at Bondi Beach and shoot your children. So be careful who you let in your country and how you let them radicalize other people.
And the entire anti-Jewish and Jewish hate, we are on this platform, we need to speak about this more. It becomes a religious duty for those people who hold the flag of Khamenei. Khamenei invented anti-Zionism. The word, the spreading, the globalization of this word comes from this man who we had to go through so much to kill this man, to get to this point today, to say bomb us, but get rid of this regime. Bomb us, let us die, but let this regime die. This man pump hate toward America and Israel, and the world buy into it because of their own political narratives, which I understand in whatever way. But at this point in history, can you come and collaborate with us once for all? Let this nation rise again. Let's eradicate this regime in any form. Let's erase IRGC in any way possible. Come and collaborate with 90 million people and help us build the country. The asset of this country is Prince Reza Pahlavi. We have a leader of opposition that can lead us. And without leader of opposition, the entire thing will become Iraq and Afghanistan. We have one leader who can lead us. And come and align with us if you want to help us, and let us to go to the next step of rebuilding, and let us dare to dream. As an artist, we dare to dream. And at the depth of despair, we have to keep dreaming, and that dreams become a memory, hopefully soon. That now we can just push to get past this moment instead of blocking our way, instead of with no to war, blocking it and stopping the move, this push. This is a little bit more push to go, and we can see the other side. But sadly, because humans don't know the next step, they get baffled by so many confusions and the blockages come on the way. So dare to dream, and I'm very confident by next year we can sit here and talk about how we're building the country again.
By next year, you think? That seems very wildly optimistic to me, given the current situation. I mean, I'd love to go there right now. I've got quite a few questions on this now from the audience. What do you think is going to happen next? And I mean, nobody can predict the future, but there's talk that Trump wants to sit down with Ghalibaf or with somebody within the regime, to sort of negotiate an end to this war. What do the three of you see happening next, and what do you think needs to happen to free Iran from the Islamic Republic and allow it to build this prosperous future that Nassim is talking about? Noz, do you want to start?
I think the time for negotiating with this terrorist regime is over. I think it's been over for decades, and I think it would be doing a complete disservice to the Iranians who have lost their lives and the Iranians who are bravely resisting and fighting, and to the memory of the victims of this brutal regime. And a slap in the face of every Iranian in the diaspora if President Trump is to sit down and negotiate with the likes of Ghalibaf. You can change the face, but you can't change the legacy. You can't change the brutality or the repression. They can go through as many so-called leaders as they want, but until this regime is completely dismantled and removed, nothing's going to change in Iran. And if he is to negotiate with this regime and buy them another day or a month or a year, that means that the last few weeks and the last series of political movements and uprisings were for nothing. So it's definitely not, we don't want to see that happen. We don't want to see negotiations. We want to see complete regime change.
And
Do you want to add anything to that, Mino?
I believe in the power of the people of Iran. Let's remember, all of this started not by Israel and America attacking IRGC. It started by the millions of people who came out end of December and in January, especially 8th and 9th of January, to say no to this regime. They came out in the millions and they said, you know what, we don't want you. They didn't say women life freedom anymore. They didn't say where's my vote anymore. They were like, bugger off, we don't want you. We want a new regime. And that's how this whole thing started, from the people of Iran. So sure, go talk to Ghalibaf and bring a new IRGC to replace the current IRGC. People are going to uprise again, and you're going to have the same problem at your hands in a few months' time or few years' time. That's what I'm trying to say. Before, the world didn't really care about IRGC because they were like, well, it's the people of Iran. It's their fate. They have to take care of it. Right now, IRGC have attacked every country it could. So I don't think they're very happy with it. Even these negotiations, they used to have it in Oman and Bahrain. They can't anymore because IRGC have attacked them. They're going to Pakistan to do it now because I think that's the only country so far they haven't attacked. So that's what I'm trying to say. I really don't think the countries around Iran want IRGC anymore. And that's a good thing for people of Iran. Even if they don't help, people are going to uprise again and people are going to take care of their own fate.
I also
Nassim, do you agree?
believe the negotiation at the moment. I'm not a political commentator. As an artist, I can only say a few things that I think has happened with Trump, and is the negotiation is buying, and the oil prices is involved, and the market prices are quite high up and down, and they're creating some balance, and it's only just politics are ugly as it can get, and there is something public knowledge. I sadly have to read to it, but there are a lot happening behind the scene, the secret hands behind the scene that are creating all these narratives and imaginary things that will happen step by step. One of it is buying time by negotiations, but to me is all fake. And it's really not happening. It's just something for people to get busy and occupied for a few days extra, and so their plans can go ahead within a few days in a different way. Everything can take a turn. I think everything is unpredictable. But knowing the oil prices and market prices, is lots of these things are buying time for some balance in finance and whatever. That could easily be one of that. And I just can't see they can negotiate with half dead people. And it's really, I mean, this the problem at the moment is the more they bomb, it's like cockroaches. All these IRGC members just crawl out of from underground. They come up like there's another 1,000, then there's another 500. Like, the more they kill, the cockroaches just bubble up and come up on the ground, and they just like, oh my God, so now we have to
That's an image.
So this is a real issue. Can we really erase all these cockroaches of it, IRGC, and get rid of the whole thing? How many more bombs? How many more of these? I have to say, what I hear from my artist firm, it's been very precise and casualties were very minimal. Sadly, there has been some casualties, but nothing to compare with 40,000 people who were slaughtered in January. Therefore, it's been a very precise military operation so far.
I know we need to wrap up, and to get the cockroaches out of your head, perhaps I'll just read one final message. It's a great suggestion from JV. Would these wonderful ladies consider sending a template of a letter to the organisers, which can be shared with people tonight, that they can take back to their organisations and communities and then send on to elected representatives? So what can be done, I guess, to support the people of Iran, and what should we be saying to our elected representatives? Any such letter, I think that's a great idea to provide to Linda or Leora, to distribute to the audience members tonight. And I'm going to thank everybody for joining this amazing session, and in particular Noz, Minu, and Nassim. And I'm going to pass the mic back to Leora to say farewell to everybody.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Kylie, and National Council of Jewish Women would be happy to facilitate distributing that kind of letter template. So we'll be in touch with you to organise that. I just want to take a moment to thank each of you, Kylie, Noz, Nassim, and Minu, for sharing your stories, your insights, and courage with us this evening. A few takeaways that really struck me: no society can be free when its women are not free. To countries that are reluctant to intervene, their missiles will reach you one day. And Minu, I think you talked about, how are you to tell me how to feel? I think that's a common feeling that we as Jewish people also feel with you. And we want to encourage people to understand the complexity of the region. And we talked about, what can we do? Amplify Iranian voices and reach out to your federal MPs to put pressure on them to not engage with the regime and to cut off diplomatic ties. And finally, that each conversation you have with someone really does matter. What also stands out is the common ground we have between our communities. As Jewish women and Iranian women, we each carry histories, responsibilities, and at times burdens that are larger than ourselves. We hold memory, identity, and often find ourselves holding up communities, advocating, protecting, and ensuring that stories are not lost or denied. And that comes with weight, but also with purpose. And tonight has been a powerful reminder of what that looks like in practice: courage, clarity, and an unwavering commitment to justice and dignity. We are incredibly grateful for your time, your openness, and the work that you continue to do, and it's been a privilege having you with us. As we close today, I also want to mention the Royal Commission, which is underway, and gently encourage anyone who has experienced anti-Semitism, been exposed to it, or has reflections on the broader impact of social cohesion to consider making a submission to the Royal Commission. These processes matter, and respectful, thoughtful contributions really help to ensure that a full picture is understood. Finally, I'd like to acknowledge the diversity of our communities here tonight and extend a happy Nowruz to the Iranian community, a happy Easter to the Christian community, and a Chag Pesach Sameach to the Jewish community. Thank you for joining us tonight, and good night.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
For having. Okay, how do we get out? We end. Are we on?
We'll just wait for everyone to leave.